Yeah. I'm just gonna say that was I hope he wasn't being serious. Yeah, I hope he wasn't being serious, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, if it's a scary time, and I do want to send this warning out. If you're an artist yourself, I want everybody to try to stay safe this summer. I think this summer is about to get hot. I think we're gonna hear a lot more killings, a lot more shootings, a lot more shit happening.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that was I hope he wasn't being serious. Yeah, I hope he wasn't being serious, but I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's a scary time, and I do want to send this warning out. If you're an artist yourself, I want everybody to try to stay safe this summer. I think this summer is about to get hot. I think we're going to hear a lot more killings, a lot more shootings, a lot more __ happening. That clip you just heard, that wasn't a rumor. That wasn't cap. That was a direct warning on camera that 4 KT members were actively hunting All Star Jr. And what happened after that warning dropped? All Star Jr. didn't go quiet. He didn't lay low. He didn't get ghost. This man went and dropped more troll songs, made more dance moves, kept poking the bear like the bear wasn't already off a chain looking for him. For KT pulled up on All Star Jr., he got caught lacking. And now the whole internet is trying to figure out if this man is built the way his music suggests, or if the trolling finally caught up to him in real life. This is a full breakdown. No cap, no filter, all facts. All right, for the people who don't know, and some of y'all genuinely don't know, because this man operates in a specific lane that don't always hit mainstream. Let me break it down for you from the jump. All Star Jr. is a rapper out of Miami. And when I say Miami, I don't mean the Miami of hit records and radio spins and Instagram models on yachts. I mean the Miami that don't make, the travel brochures. The Miami where the block politics are deadly serious and where beef don't stay online. He came up in that environment, built his name in that environment, and for a long time carried himself like a dude who understood the assignment of where he was from. Now, here's the thing about All Star Jr. that you got to understand before any of the rest of this story makes sense. This man has a sense of humor that does not match the severity of the streets he's navigating. And that's not me clowning him. That's just the reality. He has a gift for making music that sounds taunting, sounds playful, sounds like he's genuinely having fun. And he applies that gift to situations that other people would handle with extreme seriousness and zero jokes. Which means at any given point in time, All Star Jr. is somewhere on a spectrum between this is actually funny street trolling, and this man is going to get himself seriously hurt. And depending on what week you're watching him, you could be at either end of that spectrum. He built a following off being authentic, off being goofy but real, off making music that his people could feel and laugh to at the same time. That's actually a hard balance to pull off. Not everybody can do that. And for a while it was working. He was up, he was growing, he had momentum. But then came Ben 10, and then came 4KT. And fam, that's where this whole story takes a turn that nobody who was casually watching could have predicted. Now, y'all need to hear this part clearly because without this, nothing else in this video makes sense. For those who don't know the street politics here, Ben 10 is not just a name. In certain Miami circles, that name carries weight, carries history, carries a kind of energy that most people who move smart would choose not to poke at, especially not publicly, especially not with dance moves and troll songs. But All Star Jr., this man poked hard repeatedly with what seemed like genuine enjoyment. He dropped music specifically designed to troll Ben 10, and not just low-key subliminal shots that you had to be in the know to catch. No. This was direct. This was pointed. This was All Star Jr. looking at a situation that most people in Miami would navigate carefully and deciding that the correct response was a banger and a two-step. Here's the real tea on the Ben 10 diss content, though. Some of it was genuinely hard. Like, regardless of the beef context, the music hit. That's what made it even more complicated to process because you're sitting there like, okay, this is actually a song. This actually slaps. And it's a direct troll of someone who has serious people around him. That combination, right there is a powder cake. The dance moves specifically. And if you haven't seen the clips, go find them because the visual context matters. The dance moves were on another level of disrespect. Not just talking reckless on a track. Not just some bars. We're talking about a man doing specific choreographed movements, clearly designed to mock, clearly designed to go viral, clearly designed to make sure that everyone watching knew exactly who the joke was directed at. And it worked. The internet ate it up. The clip spread. People were laughing, reposting, tagging their friends. All-Star Jr. was getting attention off the trolling in a way that was genuinely building his profile. But here's where it gets crazy. The streets don't operate on the same timeline as the internet. The internet moves on in 48 hours. The streets remember. And while the internet was laughing and moving on to the next viral moment, certain people were sitting with what All-Star Jr. was doing and taking it a lot more seriously than a funny video. The disconnect between how the internet received the trolling content and how the actual people involved received it, that's the gap that All-Star Jr. fell into. And it's a gap that a lot of artists who operate in his lane have fallen into before him. Now, let me break it down for you about where 4KT comes into this story. Because this isn't just about one person taking offense. This is about an organization. This is about members. This is about the kind of network that when activated doesn't just mean one angry dude in your DMs of 4KT. For the people at home who need the context, is the crew attached to Rondo the rapper out of Savannah, Georgia. Now, when you say 4KT, you're talking about people who have been in some of the most documented, most followed, most serious beef in recent hip-hop history. These are not people who engage with trolling by firing back with their own diss track. These are not people who do tweet battles. The way 4KT has historically responded to disrespect is not through music. And that is the critical piece of information that All-Star Jr. needed to have fully downloaded before he started making Ben 10 troll content. Because when you understand who 4KT is, when you understand their history, when you understand how that organization has moved in real documented situations that have played out publicly over the last several years, the entire All-Star Jr. situation reads completely differently. This ain't no game, fam. This wasn't a rap beef where the worst-case scenario is a response track dropping and somebody looking bad on wax. This was a situation where the stakes were materially different from what All-Star Jr.'s content seemed to acknowledge. Now, here's what the street's been talking about for months on this. There's a direct connection being drawn between All-Star Jr.'s Ben 10 trolling content and 4K members deciding that they needed to address him personally. Not through music, not through social media, personally. The question that was circulating was simple. Did All-Star Jr. understand the full scope of what he was stepping into? Or was he operating on the assumption that because he's a music artist, because this is all playing out online and on streaming platforms, that somehow the response would stay in that lane? Because if it was the second one, if that was the assumption, then what happened next was entirely predictable to anyone watching from the outside with full context. And gang, this is the part that makes this whole story hit different, because it wasn't like there was no warning. It wasn't like All-Star Jr. was moving in the dark with no information about what was coming. DJ AK, and if you played the clip at the top of this video, you already know what's coming, went on record on camera publicly and said the words that everybody needed to hear. Don't let his friends ride with him. 4K Trey members are going to try to kill him. Read that back. Read it slowly. This is not a subliminal. This is not a metaphor. This is not rap beat hyperbole where somebody says, "Are you on the track?" This is a person connected to the culture with information who went on camera and issued a specific warning with specific details. Don't let his friends ride with him. Not All-Star Jr. is in trouble. Not the beef is heating up. Don't let his friends ride with him. Meaning people around him could get caught up. Meaning this is a proximity danger situation. Meaning this isn't just about All-Star Jr. anymore. It's about whoever is near him. That level of specificity and a warning like that is not something you put out for clout. Nobody goes on camera and says something that precise unless they're sitting on actual information. That's the kind of statement that if you're wrong about it destroys your credibility in the culture forever. So when somebody makes that statement, the people who understand how this works take it seriously. And here's where it gets crazy. All-Star Jr. apparently did not course correct. After that clip circulated, after that warning went around, after the internet was actively discussing whether this man needed to cool down, He kept going. More content, more trolling, more songs, more dance moves. Now, I'm not here to tell you what another man should do with his life or how he should handle his situation. That ain't my place. But I will tell you that when a credible warning comes from someone with knowledge, and the response is to double down on behavior that generated the warning, you are actively walking toward the situation instead of away from it. And that is exactly what All Star Jr. appeared to be doing the weeks before things escalated. Let me be real specific about what All Star Jr. was putting out during this time, because I need y'all to understand the timeline here. This wasn't old content. This wasn't stuff from a year ago before the beef was fully established. This was recent. This was him actively in real time, continuing to produce and drop content specifically designed to troll. The Ben 10 songs, and there's more than one, understand that were crafted with a specific intent. You listen to these tracks, and you can hear that this man is enjoying himself. He's not making these records from a place of fear or defensiveness. He's making them from a place of, I find this genuinely funny, and I'm going to keep going. The production is intentionally playful. The lyrics are intentionally mockery, and the fact that they're actually musically solid makes it harder to ignore than if they were just low-quality beefs. But the dance moves, fam, the dance moves are where the trolling reached a level that I genuinely could not believe when I saw it. There is something specifically designed about making a dance move in someone's name or in someone's mockery. Because a song people can dismiss as just music, just rap, just industry beef. But a dance move that goes viral, that's interactive, that's participatory. Every person who does that dance move is, whether they know it or not, participating in the mockery. Every video of somebody learning and performing that move is another piece of content amplifying the original message. All Star Jr. understood this. And I think part of what drew him to the dance move approach was exactly that virality factor. The dance move spread the trolling further and wider than any song could on its own. They became part of the conversation in a way that purely audio content doesn't achieve. And the internet responded exactly the way he intended. The clips were everywhere. People were doing the moves. Content creators were reacting to the content. The algorithm was pushing it. From a pure digital reach perspective, from a building your platform perspective, the strategy was working. The problem is that success online and safety in the real world are two completely different metrics. And All Star Jr. was winning on one scoreboard while losing badly on the other one, even if he didn't fully see it yet. Now, here's what really happened behind the scenes while All Star Jr. was racking up views. The word that started coming through, and this has been circulating in certain circles for a minute, is that 4K team members were not just upset about the content. They were actively looking for him. Not in a social media, we're going to find you way. In a real physical logistical way. When I say looking for him, I mean people were apparently asking around, making inquiries. The kind of movement that in street politics precedes something specific happening. This isn't the kind of information that gets to the public through official channels. This is the kind of information that spreads through the people who are close enough to the situation to have real knowledge. And when multiple sources start saying the same thing, you start to build a picture of what's actually going on. Now, All Star Jr. is from Miami. He has people. He has a neighborhood. He has spots. The challenge with being a content creator who's also an artist is that your location is often discoverable. You're making videos somewhere. You're performing somewhere. You have a presence that is by the nature of the work somewhat public. The very thing that makes you visible to your audience also makes you visible to people who are looking for you with intentions that have nothing to do with being a fan. And this is something that a lot of artists who exist in this space between internet culture and real street situations don't fully reckon with until it's too late. Your digital footprint is not neutral. Every location tag, every I'm at this show post, every background detail in your videos, all of that is information. And when people are motivated to use that information, they will. The streets knew something was building. People who followed the situation closely were watching and waiting because a combination of active trolling content, a credible public warning that had already been issued, and word that members were making moves. That combination doesn't usually end quietly. And then it happened. 4K members caught All Star Jr. lacking. Let me break down what caught lacking means in this context for anybody who needs it, because this phrase gets thrown around a lot online, but in real street terminology, it has a specific meaning. To be caught lacking means to be found in a vulnerable position without your people, without your protection, without the preparation or awareness that the situation required. It means somebody who was looking for you found you before you were ready for them to find you. And given everything that had been circulating, the DJAK warning, the word that members were asking around, the very public nature of the trolling that created the motivation, the fact that All-Star Jr. got caught lacking is simultaneously shocking and completely predictable depending on who you ask. Now, I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all about what I can and cannot confirm on the specific details of what went down, because this is a situation that is still developing, because real information and misinformation are both circulating, and I am not in the business of reporting cab. What I can tell you is what is documented, what is being said by multiple sources, and what the evidence of the situation points toward. What we know, All-Star Jr. encountered for KT-affiliated individuals in a situation where he did not have the support, the preparation, or the positioning that would have been ideal given the known threat level. Talk about it. Like for me, damn near and to a certain extent, like it's like, all right, you a lit, underscore, whatever you're in the hood every day with all your ice on whatever. That is about as clearly as I can put it based on what's confirmed, what the streets are saying. The encounter was not friendly. It was not a coincidental run-in that got talked out. The energy of the encounter was consistent with what we've been looking for you, and we found you situation looks like as opposed to we ran into each other and there's beef situation. The distinction matters because the first type of encounter, the planned, coordinated, we found you type, carries different implications for what comes next than an unplanned confrontation. At 2:47 a.m., everything changed is a type of sentence I'd use if I had the exact timestamp. What I have is a reality that this wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a near miss. It wasn't Cap from the opposition trying to build a narrative. Something happened, and the aftermath of it has been telling. Here's how you read the aftermath of a situation like this, when you can't get direct confirmation of every detail. You watch what people stop doing. You watch what the content looks like after versus before. You watch whether the energy that was there, the trolling energy, the I don't care about none of this energy, whether that energy continues or whether there's a noticeable shift. Because people who are genuinely unbothered by a threat don't change their behavior after the threat becomes real. And people who've had a real encounter and a real reminder that the consequences they've been dancing around are actually physical and present and not just comments on their videos. Those people shift sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically, but they shift. The internet noticed. The people who follow All-Star Jr. closely noticed because you go back and look at the content timeline and there's a change. The frequency changes. The tone changes the confidence of the trolling. That's specific. I'm doing this because it's funny and I'm not scared confidence. That energy reads differently when you compare before and after. Now, some people are going to say that reading changes in a content creator's output as evidence of something is speculative. And fair enough, I hear that. But this is not just me pattern matching on vibes. This is me looking at an artist who was on a specific path at a specific cadence with a specific tone, and noting that all three of those things change in a way that aligns directly with the timeline of the encounter we're talking about. Real recognize real fam. And when you've watched enough of these situations play out, you develop an eye for what it looks like when somebody has been reminded that real life is a different level than internet beef. The reactions from people close to the situation were also telling. Not just what was said, but what wasn't said. When something happens and the people who would normally be loud about it go quiet, that quiet is its own kind of information. The absence of a response, the absence of your lying, and nothing happened, and they're capping. That silence speaks. Okay, let me zoom out now. Let me take this out of a specific situation and talk about what this represents in the broader culture. Because this isn't just an All-Star Jr. story. This is a pattern that we keep seeing play out. And it needs to be addressed directly. There's a generation of artists, talented artists, artists with real followings, artists who are genuinely building something, who are operating as if the internet and the streets are the same place, as if clout generated online translates to protection in the physical world. as if going viral with a troll song creates the same kind of leverage as actually having your situation secured. They don't. I want to say that clearly because I got respect for the culture, and I don't want to watch more talented people get themselves hurt or worse because they misunderstood the assignment. The internet will hype you up to do things that will get you killed. That is not an exaggeration. The algorithm rewards provocation. The algorithm rewards escalation. Every troll video All-Star Jr. drop got engagement. Every dance move got reposted. Every beef update generated views. The internet was feeding him incentive signals to keep going, keep escalating, keep pushing the trolling further. And none of those incentive signals came with a warning label that said, the people you're trolling operate by a completely different set of rules than the ones governing your comment section. That's a dangerous gap, and it's a gap that the culture has not figured out how to bridge yet. The DJK warning, and I keep coming back to this, because I think it's the most important piece of this whole story. That warning is exactly what should happen more. Someone with real information took a risk to put that out publicly. That's somebody trying to save a life. Real talk. Whether All-Star Jr. heard it, whether he took it seriously, whether the people around him had the conversation with him that needed to happen, I don't know. But the warning was there. The information was available, and that is actually rare. Most of the time in situations like this, there is no warning. There's no DJ AK going on camera saying, don't let his friends ride with him. Most of the time, the first sign that the situation has escalated past the point of return is the situation itself. The fact that there was a public warning. The fact that the warning was specific enough to include details about proximity danger to his friends, and the trolling continued. Anyway, that part of the story is going to be the part that people in the culture talk about for a long time, because it raises a question, what does it take? What level of warning? What level of clarity? What level of direct information about the real-world danger does an artist need to receive before they recalibrate? We have been watching hip-hop eat itself for the last decade through a very specific mechanism. And that mechanism is the internet removing the physical separation that used to exist between beef and its consequences. Before social media, before YouTube, before every interaction was documented and distributed, beef was still dangerous, but operated at a different speed. You could beef with somebody in Atlanta while you were in Miami, and the chances of that beef becoming a physical encounter were limited by geography and logistics. Now, beef is instantaneous everywhere. The moment you drop that troll song, the moment that dance move goes viral, the moment that clip circulates, it's in front of the people involved before you've even looked at your own view count. Geography is no longer a buffer. That acceleration is a thing that artists who came up in an earlier era understood in a way that some of the newer generation hasn't fully internalized. When your grandfather generation beef in the streets, the beef moved at the speed of word of mouth. When your older cousin's generation beefed on mixtapes and bootleg DVDs, the beef moved at the speed of physical distribution. Now, the beef moves at the speed of Wi-Fi, and the consequences are still moving at the speed of real life. All-Star Jr. situation is a case study in that disconnect. The trolling operated at internet speed. The consequences operated at real-life speed. And when those two timelines collide, when the real-life consequences catch up to what's been happening at internet speed, that collision point is usually where the caught lacking moment happens. Now, I'm not telling you that artists shouldn't make music about their beefs. I'm not telling you that creativity and provocation and the energy that makes street music authentic should be suppressed or sanitized. I'm telling you that the math has to make sense. The risk calculation has to be real. And right now, there are too many artists who are doing the math only on the internet side. Only counting views, only counting streams, only counting engagement, without counting the real-world variables that don't show up in your analytics. Real recognize real. And the real ones in this culture have always known that you can be tough and smart at the same time. That having bars doesn't mean abandoning your situational awareness. That cloud is not armor. That going viral is not the same as being protected. So where does this leave us? Where does All-Star Jr. go from here? What does the situation look like on the other side of getting caught lacking by 4K team members? Here's the honest answer. It depends entirely on choices that are being made right now behind the scenes in conversations that we don't have access to. In situations like this, there are typically a few paths. The first path is that people around the situation help broker something that de-escalates. That's not weakness. That's intelligence. That's recognizing that the situation has gotten to a point where the next escalation could be irreversible and choosing to interrupt that cycle before it gets there. We've seen this path play out in hip-hop before. We've seen beefs that seemed like they were heading to the worst possible outcome get diffused when the right people made the right conversations happen. The second path is continued escalation, which, given the current temperature of the situation and the history of how 4KT has moved in documented past situations, is a path that ends the worst. The third path, and this is one that gets less attention, but is actually more common than people acknowledge, is that someone quietly removes themselves from the proximity of the conflict. They get out of the immediate environment. They stop making content that adds fuel. They create distance, physical and digital, while the temperature lowers. This isn't the most glamorous option when you're a content creator whose brand is built on not backing down, but it's the option that keeps you alive and lets you recalibrate on your own terms. What signals we've been able to read from All-Star Jr.'s output suggest he might be at the beginning of Path 3, or at least that the people around him are trying to get him there. But the situation is fluid. And in fluid situations, what happens tomorrow can look completely different from what was happening.